So there we have it, everybody. A frustrating, I think you can say a frustrating evening at White Hart Lane, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. A game with a lot of toil, a lot of positive moments in that second half from Spurs, but no breakthrough. Just annoying that we couldn't make one of those, at least just one of those opportunities count. 1-1 at home against Frankfurt. Doesn't feel like it's going to be quite good enough, does it? Frankfurt, they started the game really quite positively. Obviously, Ekitike scored. I've probably butchered that pronunciation. Scored early doors. Lovely, lovely finish. Looked like a really busy, really dangerous player. Every time he got the ball, really driving at the heart of Spurs. But then other than that, they didn't offer an awful lot. As Conrad said to me in the pre-match preview, they do largely play a sort of counter-attacking style of football, and that was evident today. They soaked up a lot of Tottenham's pressure. They tried their best to hit us on the counter. I think for the most part, we nullified most of what they were trying to do. But unfortunately, we just couldn't break the deadlock. I mean, the second half was pretty much all Tottenham. First half, I was pretty raging. I'm not going to lie. I thought the first half we looked like we were shot for confidence. We looked like we were out of ideas. There's a tweet in my drafts which is complaining about having watched the same game over and over and over again since last Christmas, which is Tottenham trying to be sort of ineptly busy in the middle and then hope to release it down the wings and get somebody to get a ball into the box and do what we can do from there. But I thought, no, hold off. Like, let's not, do you know what I mean? Let's not put the sort of bad energy out there too much. It's half a game of football. We've done quite well in the Europa League so far this season. And then lo and behold, second half, we actually came out a different side. We came out much more positively. It looked like we suddenly had some belief. 45 minutes to save our season and all that type of stuff. I can imagine the theme of the halftime team talk was. But we could not break through. We could not break through. I mean, that the goalkeeper. So again, I put out a fairly kind of churlish tweet about like their dodgy keeper keeping us at bay, as if their dodgy backup keeper is keeping us at bay. And some people are like, actually, he's very highly rated. He's not. If you had listened to the like I say, to the pre-match preview, that I basically recorded with Conrad, who is he's kind of Frankfurt's Dan Kilpatrick, essentially. And I asked him what Santos was like, because obviously Trapp was missing. He's one of Frankfurt's big and most kind of famous players, really. He said Santos, yeah, he's a really, really promising young keeper, but the jury's kind of out on him. He's made a few big blunders and stuff, and people aren't really sure if he's ready to take Trapp's place yet. Now, I couldn't tell you what sort of form Trapp is in nowadays. I know he's had a decent career. He's a solid goalkeeper by all accounts. But Santos was absolutely unbelievable today. Save after save after save. Spurs could have won this game 3-1 at least. So I can't, to be honest, like, as much as I am frustrated by that result, 1-1, I don't feel that. I don't really feel angry at all with the side. I think they did a really good job in that second half. I've got to say, I thought they played well. I thought they played with a bit of spirit. I thought they played with some belief, which is something I've been calling out for ages from them. A bit of heart, that's what we want from Spurs, isn't it? A bit of heart, and I feel like they were giving us some of that, and it's what you want, isn't it? It's what you want in a big quarterfinal game in Europe, biggest game for years for Spurs, biggest game for years. Um, it felt like just like listening to the crowd and like speaking to a few different mates and stuff who were at the ground. It sounds like sort of in the first half there was a sort of bleed through of what this season's been, right? And everyone was kind of nervous and everyone was on kind of tender hooks. The atmosphere wasn't really electric, it wasn't really rocking. But then suddenly it feels like not just the players, but everybody went out second half like, let's have it. Let's have it. Let's have this. Let's make it all count. Right, let's leave it all out there. And you could feel it. You could feel there was much more of a buzz there and everything. And it just it's just do you know, the thing is, I'm not trying to say this as in like in an overly negative way. I'm just saying it really is a shame that this one ended 1-1 because I feel like we were good value for the win in this game. And Frankfurt away is going to be tough, isn't it? It's going to be a tough game. A lot of people have pointed out to me that Kulusevski should be back for that one. Let's hope so. He can be a difference maker. His toil, his endeavour I think, is sadly missing from the side. I still prefer him down the middle to Maddison, I have to say. I just think he works better in this system than James Maddison. Um, yeah, just a bit annoying, isn't it? It's just a bit annoying, but it's annoying because for once it's not annoying because I feel like Spurs should have done better or could have done better. I feel like we did do really well, and we just didn't get the luck. And I know people will say you make your own luck and all that type of stuff, but I think we all know that's not true. If you watch enough football, you know that sometimes the cookie just crumbles in a certain way, doesn't it? And it tends to just not crumble the way of Tottenham Hotspur, which is just really kind of annoying and just really what a lot of this season has been. We haven't I know we haven't always been our sort of our we haven't done best by ourselves, right? And we can blame Postecoglou, we can blame players. I was having a moan about players. There's reports from Papi Sarr's agent. There's reports from Mickey van der Ven's agent. Destiny of Doggies getting briefed out in the press, being linked to Manchester City, all this type of stuff. All these different players sort of saying, well, they dream of playing for a big club like Real Madrid and all this type of stuff, right? And I was sort of saying, like I was saying in the pod with Flav the other day, it really does irritate me when a lot of these players who feel like, they're too big for Tottenham Hotspur just completely neglect the part they have played in Tottenham's fortunes. And it's not all them. There's a whole confluence of factors as to why Tottenham have not been performing so well this season. But they are definitely one of the big parts of that. They are the ones who have the most direct control over the fortunes of Tottenham Hotspur. They step onto the pitch wearing our shirt and, like their destiny's in their own hands. Not like us mugs that just sit there and cheer them on. And somehow we seem to be held more kind of accountable than the players do often. But like I say, I was belly aching about that. But I don't feel that sort of animosity towards any of the players after this game. I do think they did make a good account of themselves, and I'm just sort of going in circles, repeating myself. It's just kind of annoying, isn't it? Um, it does make me question. It does make me question because this is something that I was talking to Conrad, the Frankfurt journalist, about before the game. And it's about kind of Ange Postecoglou's system, and because he was sort of saying, well, Spurs are coming into. I was asking him essentially, I'm sure you must be kind of looking forward to this one, given how terrible Spurs have been in the Premier League this season. He's like, not really. I mean, you've been really good in the Europa League though, um, and that's kind of what's important here. And it did make me wonder if the kind of the boom and bust football, if you like, is probably better suited to European knockout competition than it is domestic football. And I think tonight could be another indicator of that. I think, look, the thing is, right? We are. You can say what you want, like, yeah, all right. We're not Real Madrid and we're not Liverpool or AC Milan, but we still have European heritage, right? We've got some pedigree there, as I always say, far more pedigree than Arsenal do. Um, it's something that's so synonymous with this club, White Hart Lane, under the lights, all lily white kit. We've had some incredible nights in Europe over the years, and it's a huge part of the lore around this football club. And it's nice to see. It was nice to see, I guess, after the first half went, that being a kind of breaker from the misery of this domestic season, and us sort of segueing away from it, and suddenly in that second half, just being like, yeah, we do believe there is something here that we can do that we haven't been able to do domestically for whatever reason. That belief and that, I don't know. And maybe Ange's system does play well into that. I don't know. I don't know. I potentially owe an apology to, I don't know who it was, but somebody said to me, and this is back in the league stage of this competition, that Bodo Glimt are the dark horses for this competition. And I think I was particularly nonplussed by that take. But if tonight's anything to go by, what they've done to Lazio might not be a. But I saw quite a few Spurs fans kind of cheering the potential of having Bodo Glimt in the semi-finals. But maybe it's not. Maybe it wouldn't be all fun and games. I suppose I probably can't get through this stream without questioning why Jed Spence didn't start. One of our best players. I mean, yeah, all right, he's had a couple of so-so games the last few weeks, but still one of our best players for large parts of this season. Dropped from the bench. I think there was a unanimous groan really there, that he wasn't starting the game. Yes, I know I don't spend all week with them on the training pitch and all that type of thing, but I hope there's a ruddy good reason as to why he was left out of the game for as long as he was. But maybe that ruddy good reason was Pedro Porro's backheel goal, which was pretty tasty, wasn't it? Pretty tasty goal, that. It's really hard, because this is the thing. It's such a limbo. It's such a limbo state. This, isn't it? We've drawn 1-1 at home with a really good side in Frankfurt. We know we've got a really difficult away game to go. But you can't be that mad about it because they actually play quite well. They gave a fairly good account of themselves, and so that's why I'm so like I'm in an R in this one, because I'm not going to sit here and sort of go on about how bad Spurs were or how Ange should have done this or done that. Like, they're all right, Let's see what some of you lot think. Mark Lobley says, bloody enjoyed that. Well, good for you, Mark. Thomas Jones says, this is the sort of game that makes me miss Kane more than ever. Prolific striker gets a couple tonight. Yeah. I'm starting to I think we might have to move Solanke onto fraud watch soon if we start having a few more performances like this. I know I've been a big champion of Solanke for quite a lot of this season. But don't know. Chris Tucker says football logic states we will pay for those missed chances. Maybe, but football logic isn't always bang on. Matt Gert says, cigar and a deep breath following that. Can't fault the performance. Probably not good enough, but we were able to break them down quite effectively. A cigar? Why a cigar? I mean, fair enough if you want to have a cigar. Um, I've had a cigar in years. Problem with a cigar is, right, I used to smoke quite, I mean, I haven't smoked for over 10 years now, but from like my late teenage years into my sort of early to mid 20s, I was a prolific smoker, a chain smoker, if you like. I loved a rollie because, I'm artsy type, do you know what I mean? Pretentious, but I did like a rollie, I like the taste of them. Um, but, the thing is, whenever you have a cigar and you're trying to, whether it was a mate's wedding or something like that, it's hard because you're not supposed to inhale it down, like, into your lungs. You're supposed to sort of well it up in your mouth. You're supposed to sort of taste it, eat it in a way. But I find the reality of them not quite as nice as the idea of them. You have them for a bit, you have a couple of puffs and you go, "Oh, that tastes quite nice." Have a little sip on a dram of whiskey or something like that. And then suddenly your head's spinning all over the shop. You're kinda like walking, you're in the middle of a conversation, you just sort of do you ever anyone ever I'm sure you've all had this feeling before when you've had a bit to drink, and especially if you have a cigarette and you're not kind of, whether you're a seasoned smoker or not, sometimes your head just goes a bit, and you can be mid conversation, and you just kinda have to excuse yourself from said conversation. Someone will be, like, looking at you, and you're kind of going in your head, you think you're being quite subtle, but you're kinda going blank-faced, ashy, the colour fading from your cheeks. People you're talking to, "Are you alright?" Uh, and that's the moment when you're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." I just need a moment. You have to just kinda walk off and just breathe a bit. Breathe and, like, make sure your head stops spinning all over the place. That's usually my sort of experience with cigars. It's just that moment where I just have to go and do you know what I mean? Like, because it's usually, like I say, it's usually like a wedding or something like that, and I have to just go and, like, find a little bench or somewhere to sit that's quiet and no one's gonna talk to me for a few minutes and just, like, compose myself and get my breathing back and kind of oxygenate my body a bit. That's probably a bit more than people needed with that note on cigars, but, smoking's bad, okay? Um Bergvall was sensational, says Ollie 500. I mean, what a little player he is, a little terrier, isn't he? The Tottenham spelt with a zero, says, looked like the type of game that if we scored the second, then a third would come within 5 to 10 minutes. They were there for the taking tonight. Yeah, I do think they were to a degree, and I think we tried to do the taking, and their keeper was just pretty sensational, wasn't he? So again, like I say, the Tottenham, I can't be that annoyed, sort of in a way of I'm annoyed with the situation, but I'm not really annoyed with the team. Wilson T says taking off Maddison again was weird. We played well though. I think it was kind of the timing of this is the thing, the timing of the subs and like the bulk nature of the subs is weird. And that's one of that's one thing I'll criticize Ange Postecoglou for. Why not drip him in? It felt quite clear that like from pretty early into that second half, we could have done with like Tell coming on, Tell bringing a bit of pace, bringing a bit more oomph, bit more va-va-voom into the game, right? But instead, we waited, we sat on it, we waited and we waited and we waited, and then we made the three subs at the same time, and you just got like, okay, okay. Sam Lee says, great performance given how bad we've been, but we're going out. Yeah, good performance. I mean, I know what you're saying about the going out thing, but let's try and keep positive. Mm. Zeros and Ones says, what's the most millennial tune you can play on bass? Like RHCP or Muse or something. Um, I've so I played guitar for about 10 years ish. So from when I was maybe 15, 16 to about 25, I played the guitar and just did it myself. And then I sort of just stopped. and I was mainly abysmal at the guitar. I could play the chords and that sort of stuff, but if it was anything too technical, anything too like melodic, if you like, anything that wasn't just basic strumming, I was pretty abysmal. I'm just the standard kind of pissed at afters, pick up the guitar and play something. Do you know what I mean? Naff. Time of Your Life by Green Day or something like that. Because I turned 40 and I'm obviously in the throes of a midlife crisis. I thought, yeah, why not? Well, I'll get a guitar, but maybe I'll get a bass. Maybe I'll try out a bass guitar. So I've only been playing it for like 2 or 3 weeks. So I can't really play anything that millennial. I've been playing. I'll tell you zeros and ones. It's not millennial. It's Gen X. I've been playing some Nirvana. So there you go. That's what I've been playing a bit of. But I'm largely abysmal still at the moment. So you know, slapping the bass and all that. PG says, won't be enough, will it? Decent enough in parts, but we lack conviction and quality. Ref was terrible. Yeah. I'll be like, I actually, I didn't pick up on much that the ref was doing that was terrible. If you care to follow that up, PG, please let me know. I'd be interested, or anybody else. I'd be interested to hear anyone else's thoughts on the refs. Mark Lobley, who said he bloody enjoyed that, says it is so conflicting because I can live with a Tottenham like this. Not sure if players are reacting to Ange or to the occasion. Keeper had a cracking game though. Yeah. Beat Plate says, I'm definitely on the same page as you, Jack, with Bentancur long term, but I thought that was his best game in 2 years. Absolutely, absolutely no disagreement from me there, mate. He was really good, wasn't he? Bentancur was really good tonight, especially in the air. Attacking offensive balls, getting on the end of set pieces. Which he actually has got quite a knack for. It's like one of the lesser stated parts of his skill set, isn't it? But he does seem to have a canny knack for doing that. Delpha Chronic says Sonny and Johnson were mostly anonymous. If Johnson doesn't get his goal, he's pretty much pointless. Porro, lovely goal. Poor defender. I'm Ange out these days, but bad finishing cost us today. Yeah, Sonny and Johnson especially. Johnson hates a one-on-one, man. Like Johnson hates it, and he it's so funny, and it makes such sense if you that he is often at his best when he just kind of sneaks in and tucks a ball into the goal when nobody's really paying attention to him. Because as soon as there's a spotlight on him, he just shrinks, doesn't he? I know he scores goals and that type of a thing, but I've seen some people argue that the fact he's scoring goals is actually a kind of a better reflection on the players like Son and Maddison, for example, who are setting the goals up for him than on Johnson himself. But kind of interesting. Stephen King says, thought that was a good game. Added bonus, sitting watching with my daughter who was wearing a Spurs shirt. Please don't report me to child services. It was her choice. Yeah, it's the old joke, that one, isn't it? It's good though, mate. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Nice to be there with the family, isn't it? That's what it's all about, isn't it? That's what football's all about. Watching it with the family, the nearest and the dearest, passing on that sporting generational trauma, Stephen. That's what it's about. Do you know what I mean? I do sit and think to myself sometimes, Dad, what were you doing? Why? You know? Matt Scally. I love that. Scally. Is it nominative determinism, Matt? Can you tell us? A big missed opportunity there, but a proper performance finally. Let's put a pin in the sack him at half times tweets. We could look. It was just come on, man. It's just a joke. Like, don't take Twitter so seriously, all right? It's just making reference to the fact that Daniel Levy apparently sacked Martin Yol at halftime, all that type of thing, right? It's just, it's just, you know, just a bit of banter. That's it. Darren says Van de Ven should have thrown himself towards the goal at the end. Talking about the end, like any of you who have watched this like plenty of times enough will know my feelings on Pepe Matasar and how much of a fan I am of his. But good lord, good lord, what was that like in the dying minutes of the game, right? In the dying minutes of the game to pass the ball backwards. Pass the ball backwards. Are you talking about going to Real Madrid this week, lad? Or your agent is anyway, whoever is. And in a game you're desperate to win, you're passing the ball backwards. Come on. Quased says, with all the talk of them, I didn't think Frankfurt were that good. Makes me more disappointed at the draw. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Adam Harris says, good performance, but not a good result. Had to take a lead to Germany. Yep. Matty C says, we could dig up the blimey. Right, this is taking a turn. We could dig up the decomposing corpse of Gordon Banks and stick him on the pitch against us, and he'll have a worldie. Obscure keepers have the game of their life against us. It's a constant theme. There you go. Brian Park says, look at who's left in the competition. This looks very winnable. Shame it's come in our worst season in history. I mean, I've got to say, Brian, we have been relegated before. So it's probably not the worst one ever. Okay. Bergvall says Tottenham till they kill me. London Easter says could have been 5. Dusty Neighbour says not worried about next week. Big difference there. Not worried about next week. We have this team handled. Cool. Richard Hanscom says Bergballer though. Flame emoji. Udogi best game since I can remember. Spence came on and did the biz down the left. Nothing like a link to Manchester United to get a bit of fire back in the belly. Eh, Destiny? Paul King says, based on that, I'm not actually as down on the chance of us achieving something at their place. Walking back from the ground, enjoying your take. Look forward to your player reviews. No pressure, Paul. No pressure, mate. Deep's Terrific says, not a lot of fans expected such a positive performance. It was like the Villa and West Ham home games earlier on in the season, where we created and scored goals in clusters. Today we were unlucky. Yeah, agree. Mostly in the second half again. Like I say, first half, bit whiffy. Second half, good. Tom Hayward. Here we go. Tom Hayward or Tom Foynes, if you like. Is it time to question? Do you know what? Actually, bit of a red flag there, Tom, because you've said is like with lots of I's before the S. That's a bit Jason Cundy. Just saying, mate. Just saying. I'm just saying it as a friend. All right. It's a bit Cundy. That okay. Don't look. Yeah. Just saying. Is it time to question 65 million on Dominic Solanke? A hard worker, but one of the least threatening strikers you'll ever see. There is potentially something of a discussion to be had. As I said earlier, he could well be on fraud watch from this point in, but we'll see. I'm not the one to make that decision. I'm just saying, just merely, you know. 'Cause, 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 'c Ricochet Pig. That's a good name. I wonder where that's come. What does that come from? Is that like crazy? What is it called? Angry Bird, Crazy Birds. Jesus, all right, Granddad. No, I was like 22, 23 when that came out. So, Ricochet Pig says the purgatory continues with an exclamation mark. William Gardner, hello, mate, says, I think we'll do it. It's the only positive we have, so let's run with it. Not expecting much versus Wolves, however. Yikes. Let's go with that, mate. Stephen Pryor. If we'd won, I'd have only worried we'd throw it away next week anyway. Feel more hopeful with the draw in a weird way. Yeah, fair enough. Grant Echo Sonic says, Jack, regarding cigars, yes. See, good. Glad it's not just me. Spinning heads, sort of a feeling of, am I going to be sick? Am I not? I don't really know. But I just feel horrific. At this moment in time, I feel horrific. And I need what I need is right. I need about 10 minutes to just sit and breathe and not talk or really think about anything. And then I need to get like a Coke, like as in the beverage, a Coca-Cola, right? I need that, perk me up again, and then back into it. Wilson T, I thought they'd be better. We shouldn't be worried about the return leg. A bit of confidence. Deuces Wild says we made AZ Alkmaar look like prime Barca away from home, so I'm concerned for the second leg. Hacker BLCPS says I could play Eagle Eye Cherry on guitar, classic stuff. Which song? I'm guessing Save Tonight, right? Save tonight, fight the break of dawn. Come tomorrow, tomorrow I'll be gone. Tune. Maybe we should play that. Could we play that at the end of songs instead of that Munich by the Editors again? That Eagle Eye Cherry song, it reminds me again, it was that kind of era of like poppy, wistful, acoustic-y type music, wasn't it? See also Natalie Imbruglia Torn. Sort of, I think similar kind of songs occupy a similar space. But what a banger, I've got to say. That song, unbelievable. Oh, here we go. Jonas. So it could be Jonas Vigeland. Let me know if the pronunciation's good there, Jonas. I said that Buddha Glimt is the one that scares me. Jonas, fair play, mate. You literally called that from like probably game week 3 or 4, I think, when I was sat here belly aching talking about Spurs should be able to steamroll this competition. There's nobody in here that really bothers me and all that sort of thing. You were like, but a glimpse should bother you. So fair play, mate. Nicely done. Francesca Sidderly says, Jack, don't know how to spell this, but you've said in the past a word that spelt phonetically, I'd say was aberratively. What is the word? So I often pronounce words incorrectly, but if something's an aberration, it's outside of the norm, right? So there you go. It would be, it's an aberrative result every time we win at Stamford Bridge, right? So there you go. I mean, I think that's kind of not really the correct context, but sharp. I just sit and bellyache on a podcast. Don't actually make me have to sort of qualify my words that I use to try and make myself sound more cleverer. Anne and Leslie on the train home, watching with the rest of Glasgow Spurs. Oi oi. I thought we should have got at least one more. Didn't think that they were anything too special. Are you lot all going back to Glasgow tonight? You can't be, right? Or unless you're on the sleeper. Are you on the sleeper? I do think we should have. I think we could have. Honestly, I think a fair result tonight would have been 3-1 to Tottenham Hotspur, and that's a fair result. And it's not often you'd say that this season. K9 McGurn says, really enjoyed the preview pod with the Frankfurt fan. He was comically level headed. He's a good guy. A really nice bloke, comrade. I think he felt like I was kind of so before the game. I think he'd sort of like I think it had gotten a bit lost in translation because I'd sort of heard. I did one of those. Well, I think the root of this came from one of those. Do a quiz to decide which Bundesliga, or no, I think it was. What were they called? Was it BuzzFeed? The lot that used to do all the listicles and stuff, and they did one that was, and this was some time ago. That was kind of like choose your Bundesliga team based on the Premier League team you support. And I think Tottenham got Frankfurt because it was like team that are, often a cup team, used to win stuff all the time, but haven't won anything for years, despite getting close all the time, blah, blah, blah. And then Frankfurt in the past couple of years actually sort of got that off their back and started winning stuff again. And I sort of posed that question to him, like, do you see any similarities there? And he was sort of like, well, not really, because Frankfurt actually wins stuff now. And they've always won stuff in the past as well. And that's sort of like, because I have to, don't I? Like, you have to when you're talking to like somebody that's not an actual Spurs fan, you're kind of like, oh, cool, yeah, no. I mean, sort of like not gotten the point I'm trying to make, which is fair enough. Do you know what I mean? Like you are literally speaking to me in English, another language for you, so that's fine. But I do sort of have to, as a sort of something of a representative of Spurs in that conversation, have to say Spurs have won stuff as well, like we have. Like the whole we've not won stuff is not true. It's just, but then it was just kind of he was like, oh, okay, cool, well done, you know. I was like, oh man, like this makes me seem so petty and silly now, but so what? Sorry about the sniffing. I'm starting to get again, like after the cigars anecdote. The older I never, ever, ever in my life, I never used to get hay fever. I was never one of those kids that got hay fever, right? And I used to have, when you're growing up at school, you used to have all those kids that as soon as it got to this sort of time of year, their eyes start streaming, they're going all red, their noses are all blocked up, all this sort of thing. You think, what the hell? Like, how does that happen? I don't get it that bad, but I will say the older I'm getting, the worse my hay fever is getting. Year on year, it gets worse and worse. And immediately, like I always tend to think, God, is that the sign that there's something deeply wrong with me? It's not. It's fairly common, apparently. Like just as you get older, it's just another one of those reminders that as you get older, your body just copes with stuff not as well as it used to do. Great, nice one. So like for a lot of today, I was feeling like awful. I was like struggling to breathe a bit, and I was a bit tight chested at times. I was thinking, oh God, like I've been trying a bit harder at the moment. Like, do you know what I mean? I've been going out for runs again, and I've been doing a lot of kind of like resistance exercises and watching my diet a little bit more and stuff. And because I'm getting older, do you know what I mean? You sort of think, but I'm like, oh God, am I overdoing it a bit? What's going on? And so I just started to get that bit of anxiety. It was especially joking with Flav the other day about what happens if I died now, getting to the age where I just die and Spurs then go and win something after I have done. And then I just suddenly, then my nose, started getting all blocked. I started like not being able to breathe through my nose, and my eyes felt like they were kind of. It felt the only way I can put it is it feels like there's cotton buds behind my eyes. I was like, it's the hay fever. Drop an antihistamine, and suddenly feel a bit more human again. But it's weird that, isn't it? Why, it's just suddenly your body's just like, yeah, you're gonna have hay fever now, and that's it. Um, Annoying. Jed, so Matt Scally says, "No, it's my actual name." Yeah, I'm sure it is. What I meant is, mate, is so nominative determinism basically means like by name by nature. Um, so I was basically asking, "Are you a Scally?" as well. But it's a cool name. I like it. I mean, Jack Hussey. I'm not really one to like dig out surnames. But it's spelt differently. I always hasten to point this out. It is spelt differently. I think Hussey is actually like I think it's an Irish name, an Irish or Scottish name at root. Um, somewhere down the line, I think it is, and it's like a place or something like that. It's not a harlot, as people will you know often allude to. Um, oh, here's a good one. Jed Watson. People are overblowing the performance. We created some good chances, but I think largely we didn't move the ball quickly enough and struggled to break them down. Vamos, Jed. That's it. Keep the keep the misery flag flying for this season. I'll be back. I'll be back after Wolves, mate. Don't worry. I haven't. Do you know what I mean? I'm not abandoning everyone yet. I think, yeah, maybe we are overblowing the performance, but it's been so miserable for so much of this season, right? That it's quite nice to be able to sit here and say we were actually all right, and we showed a bit of heart this evening. So I'm all right with it. Do you know what I mean? I'm all right if there's a bit of a hype job going on right now. Okay. Um, Hanik Kotecha, Hanik Kotecha. I don't know. Sorry, apologies for, again if I butchered the pronunciation. We were missing Wilson Odobert. Surprised he didn't come on. Hopeful about the next leg. Is that Odebert's next leg or the next leg of the game? I think Odobert, he was probably 50-50 before the game, wasn't he? Tight hamstring, all that sort of thing. So that's probably why he didn't come on, mate. It is what it is, isn't it? Brian Park says, let's just talk movies for an hour next week if we go out of Europe. Well, can do that. But you can also, I'm going to give it a plug. You can also listen to BYOB, Bring Your Own Blockbuster podcast, which I don't generally like doing this kind of blowing smoke up one's own arse thing. But I do have to say, over the past few weeks, it's been steadily growing. And I think Ben Haynes will correct me, but crept into the top 10 of film podcasts in the UK last week, which was a pleasant surprise. But yeah, come and listen to that. Hainsey, he reviewed the Minecraft movie in a week, and it's absolutely exploded on TikTok. But it's essentially thousands of people who are massive Minecraft fans digging him out. So yeah, give it a go. Alan Leslie says, mate, I got hit with hay fever at 37 for the first time. Actually, quite gutted I got it. I felt feeble. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because this is the thing that I'm saying. Like, I'm not. I was probably about the same age, maybe 36, 37, when it first started to get me, right? And now 3 years into it, 3-4 years into it, I still miss I still forget the fact that I kind of get it now. So when I do have days like today when I'm like, just why I slept quite well. like I say, I've been eating quite well. I've been exercising. Like I should be in a good place. Am I overdoing it? I don't know. I just kind of feel rank. Then the penny drops. I'm like, oh yeah, it's probably the hay fever. I just need to keep on top of it. Yeah, I know what you mean. It does feel fit. It's just annoying. It's just annoying, isn't it? It's just got to be a thing. There's always something. Can never. That's the main. Do you know what I would say? Right. Anyone who's in their 20s now watching this, thinking, bore off, old man. Right. I get it, but and I know this is the cliche, but I feel like this is a baton that has to be passed down by every single generation, which is you just wait. It happens so quickly. It genuinely feels like a couple of months ago, I was 25, I was smoking, I was drinking, I was impervious to like, yeah, got the odd bit of a hangover, but still, you'd wake up and was fine. I could, I could go on a night out, drink all night, and then have a curry or some, not a curry, like a kebab or something like. I mean, not really, yeah, like a kebab or I'd never really had kebabs. I'll say what I used to like getting is like the grilled chicken strips that places like Pepe's Piri Piri and stuff would do. That would be always my late night sort of snack. I always liked that. The grilled chicken strips with chips. That was always a winner for me. I always quite liked that. Um, but still, you could eat spicy, fatty fast food late at night and be fine. Honestly, now, like it takes nothing at all. Right, I'm 40 years old now. The other night, right, I had what did I have? Because we fancied it. I think I mentioned this on like one of the Patreon pods. I had like a spaghetti bolognese at like 20 past 8. I was I was up all night. My stomach like was in bits. It was in absolute bits. But it's just mad. It's mad how quickly it just creeps up on you. Mad. Like just suddenly, nothing bothers you, and then suddenly everything bothers you. There's always something. You're just spinning plates. You're spinning plates just to have a day where you wake up and you're like, I feel all right today. I don't have like a lingering headache somewhere, or that knee doesn't hurt a bit, or I just, for some reason, my tinnitus is really bad today. Right? Do you know what I mean? Some days you're just like, oh, I just feel okay. That's a gift. That's a gift. When you get past like 36, 37, it's lovely. It's lovely just to have that where you don't have a day where there's a thing. And hay fever is just another thing. Fucking thing. Rich says, we are so done in Europa. These players can't play under pressure. Watch us poo the bed in Frankfurt. There we go. I mean, I hope not, Rich. I do know what you're saying, mate. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh come on, be positive, don't say, because I know exactly what you're saying. I get it, like you know. But we were all right tonight, and I do think on our day, as has always been the case with Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, we can usually beat anybody on our day. Julian Big, hello, mate. Been a while. Have you gone off me, Julian? Like, I'm just saying, mate. It's fine. I'd go off me too. Jack, honestly, the best performance I've seen for bloody yonks. But I think we needed goals advantage, which we haven't got. Um, yeah, yeah, and I think therein lies the frustration, right? Therein lies sort of the place we find ourselves in right now, isn't it? That's yeah. Mark Lobley says, I enjoy coming to you for a nice bit of balance post game. I enjoy seeing you really sit on the fence. How are you feeling? Roll on the second leg or get the season done. Oh, yeah, definitely roll on the second leg, mate. I love European football. I do. I absolutely love European football. I want us to be in this competition. I want us to win it. I want us to be in the competition all the way to the end. All right. There's no sort of feelings of, oh, if we win it, then everybody who loves Ange will have a go at me. I'm sure many of them will, but I don't care. Like, I care about Tottenham Hotspur winning the competition. Might never see them win a Europa League in my life. So the opportunity to do it this year potentially is one that I will not be passing up. So no, you know, I don't want to get to the end of the season. Not yet. Not while we're in this competition. Let's fight to the very end. And as that guy said, you know, in the viral video, the sort of MLS capo guy, which was, we're going to fight, fight, fight. We're gonna win, win, win. Um, Back to Ben's review. Rosquito says, "I love Ben, but he was picking the Minecraft movie apart like it was The Godfather. He's made an enemy in my 3-year-old." Um, Look, you know, we have conceded after the point that the movie maybe was not made for Ben, but he has sort of doubled down as well by saying that just because something is based on a beloved piece of IP doesn't just give it a pass to be a bad film. So we'll see, we'll see. Grant Ecosonic says a grilled chicken kebab from Dionysus at the bottom of Tottenham Court Road. Oof, juicy. Tequila Shark, NJ, New Jersey. Oh, oh. That's probably like really. It's probably really cliche and something that people from New Jersey don't like, isn't it? Like, oh, that's where The Sopranos is from. Well done. Tell us something we haven't heard. Sorry. Um, I just don't trust us to do it. I feel like I'd be interested to know if anybody in the comments has a firm grasp. If you are like somebody who is, say, American, who has then moved to the UK for a long time, or somebody who is from the UK who has moved to America for a long time, and who is like actually deeply immersed in the nuances of both cultures and the kind of context around stuff. Could you please like clear up for me? Because I feel like Americans talk about New Jersey in the way that in the UK we talk about Essex. And I'm not just basing that on like kind of the only way is type, you got Jersey Shore, the only way is Essex, two very sort of similar programs. I know we've got Geordie Shore as well in the UK, but still, it just feels like the way they're sort of spoken about is like they're both spoken about as being quite like brash. Look, they're essentially both sort of looked down on because they're both seen as like high symbols of like successful working class people, if that makes sense. And there's nothing the establishment hates more than successful working class people. That's what I say. But it seems to be that kind of like people look at them as like mutton dressed as lamb. I'm saying this in quotation marks. Mutton dressed as lamb, like something to be sort of like looked down on as being classless and all that type of stuff. That's the kind of vibe I get because I can't remember who it was that said it. It was on maybe I can't remember if it was a Spurs pod or if maybe even Louis Theroux was talking about it on his pod. But somebody was saying, why is it that the butt of so many jokes in America is New Jersey? And everyone kind of laughs. And it did just make me think that. Tequila Shark New Jersey says Americans feel like New Jersey is the armpit of America. Yeah, I don't know. I've been to New Jersey briefly to pick up an RV once upon a time when I did a road trip in an RV around the United States of America in my 20s. But that's a story for another day. Should we do the players? Let's do the players pretty quickly because I'm getting a bit tired. I think I'm getting a bit tired, and it's 11 o'clock. It's past my bedtime. Guillermo Vicario. Is it harsh to say he could have done better with the goal? Probably. I think it was a pretty exceptional strike. So probably would be a bit harsh to say that. So I'm not going to say that. It's just me thinking out loud more than anything. Um, Overall, an okay performance. Probably had 2 or 3 saves to make, didn't he? Let's see. How many shots did they have on? They had 2 shots on target. So, yeah, one being the goal and one being an opportunity I remember him saving quite comfortably. Destiny a doggy. Very good performance today. Looking much more like his old self. As I said in quite a side-eye fashion earlier, nothing like a link to Manchester City to bring the player sort of back to life. But you know, fine. As long as he's playing well for Spurs, don't really mind. Mickey van de Ven, decent performance this evening. A lovely tackle, and he sort of tracked back and nicked the ball off of I can't remember who it was, but one of their players when they were on the break. Other than that, quite quiet, I thought. Christian Romero, good. Pedro Porro, beautiful finish, beautiful goal. A really bad one-on-one defender, I have to say. Sorry to bring it down a bit, but he was being targeted quite consistently throughout the first half, especially. They've obviously done their scouting on that. So, is what it is. It was a shame to see Spence dropped, but Porro got the goal, so it's a stay of execution for him and my hot takes, I guess. James Maddison made our goal, I guess. Some good toil, good sort of cross for that, a good pass into the box, cross along the ground. Do you know what I mean? I think he was trying his best to pull the strings. I think he definitely grew into the game, but people aren't going to like it. But I still expect a bit more from him. I've got to say, I'd still like to see him kind of really dominating games, but maybe he did enough today. Rodrigo Bentancur, everybody knows how much I love to dig him out, but it was a really good performance from him tonight. Really good, really commanding in that midfield. And offensively, yeah, he kept being a nuisance, especially from set pieces. Really good performance. It's between him and Bergvall for Tottenham's best player tonight, I think. So, yeah, high praise indeed from this podcaster. Lucas Bergvall, lovely, isn't he? Such a tenacious little player, little terrier. Seems to be just growing in stature, growing in confidence, physically getting much more up to speed with the demands of football at this type of level. So gutted that his goal didn't fly in. I mean, how wonderful would that have been? But a lovely player. Give him a new contract. Do you know what I mean? Just do it. Tie him down to a big deal. Keep him happy. Great player. Could be a future captain. Son Heung-min, largely anonymous this evening. It must be said. I think it was remarked that he didn't look fully fit. Maybe he's not. I don't know. Maybe he's just knackered. He played. Did he play the full game the other day against Southampton? If not the full game, he played a large part of it. So yeah, fine. Brennan Johnson, really largely pointless performance from him tonight, but I'm not going to focus on negatives. Dominic Solanke, we've spoken about him a bit this evening. Let's hope when the new season comes around, he'll be fully fit again. Maybe these sort of performances are more a result of him struggling, returning from fitness, all that type of thing, right? Returning from injury. Who came on? Richarlison, that was kind of random, wasn't it? Didn't really do anything. Mathis Tell, yep, again, was busy when he came on. Tried to do his best, I felt. Promising player. Be nice to see him get more minutes and stuff. Why he didn't play against Southampton, start against Southampton, nobody knows, other than Ange Postecoglou. Jed Spence should have started tonight, but there you go. Pape Matar annoyed me with that pass back in the dying moments this evening. So yeah, I'll say that of him tonight for some balance, because I'm usually always going on about how much I love him. Um, I think that's it. I think that's it for tonight. Let's leave that there. Not quite glory, glory Tottenham Hotspur, but nice to have a performance where you don't feel completely empty and frustrated because the team haven't given you anything, right? It's nice to feel kind of frustrated because we feel like we should have won the game. So, still frustration, but it's a different type of frustration. We're dealing in all different vintages of frustration this season, right? You can support the show on Patreon, patreon.com/RTRpod. There's there's an inner sanctum tier where you get extra podcasts and stuff, or there's a supporter tier, £1.50 a month, and you can just support the show if you enjoy it. Help keep the lights on, help me continue to pay for the different little bits and stuff that I pay for to keep the show running. Much appreciated if you can do that. If you can't do that, don't want to do that, if you could please just leave a rating, leave a review, like, subscribe. If you're watching this now, the stream, please give me a thumbs up. There's a lot more of you watching it than there are who have liked it. So please do drop it a like. It helps get new eyeballs on the show, helps to make it grow, keeps my ego inflated, all the important stuff. So yeah, share the pod, like, leave ratings, leave reviews. Much love. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Up the Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. We've got it all to do in Germany, don't we?